The clock on the wall, a custom piece shaped like a chef's knife and fork, ticked with agonizing slowness. 8:00 p.m. The grand opening of The Hearth was supposed to be in full swing. Laughter should have been echoing off the reclaimed wood walls. The clinking of wine glasses should have been the night's orchestra. Instead, the only sound was the hum of the brand-new refrigerators and the frantic beating of my own heart. I stood in the center of my dream, a ghost in a mausoleum I had built myself. 24 tables, each perfectly set with crisp white linen, gleaming silverware, and a single hopeful rose, sat empty. The air, thick with the scent of roasted garlic and rosemary from the cooling bread baskets, felt heavy, suffocating. My dream was dying before it even had a chance to breathe. For 5 years, every penny I earned, every ounce of energy I had, went into this place. I'd poured concrete, sanded tables, and argued with suppliers until I was hoarse. It was a tribute to my grandfather, the man who first put a whisk in my hand and taught me that food wasn't just sustenance, it was love made edible. My wife, Sarah, had been my rock through it all. Or so I thought. She'd painted walls with me, tasted every experimental dish, and held me when I was on the verge of giving up. "We're a team, Alex," she'd always say, kissing the flour off my cheek. "The hearth is our future." I pulled out my phone for the 100th time. I had sent out 50 invitations. My parents, my sister, Sarah's family, our closest friends, the people who were supposed to be my biggest cheerleaders. Not one had shown up. Not one had even sent a text. My last message to my mom, sent an hour ago, was still unread. "Hey, are you guys close? The doors are open." Just then, Sarah walked in, her coat draped over her arm. She looked flustered, her cheeks flushed. "Oh, honey, I am so sorry. There was a nightmare pileup on the interstate. I've been stuck for over an hour." She rushed to my side, her eyes scanning the empty room. "Oh, Alex, where is everyone?" Her voice was a perfect symphony of concern and surprise. I wanted to collapse into her arms, to let her absorb the crushing weight of my failure. But something felt off, a tiny, dissonant note in her performance. "I don't know," I mumbled, my voice cracking. "No one's here. No one's answering their phones." "That's so strange," she said, rubbing my back. "Maybe the invitations got lost, or people got the date wrong? Don't worry, honey, we'll figure it out. It's just a setback." We packed up in silence. Every untouched plate I boxed up felt like a tiny shard of glass in my soul. Sarah was the perfect supportive wife, offering platitudes and promising that tomorrow would be better. But as we drove home, I noticed her clutching her purse in her lap with white knuckles. She kept glancing at her phone, which she had angled away from me. In the days that followed, a chilling silence descended. My calls to family were met with clipped, evasive answers. My mom said she'd suddenly felt unwell. My sister claimed she completely forgot. My best friend Mark, who had helped me design the logo for the hearth, said he had an unavoidable work emergency. Their excuses were flimsy, transparent, and worst of all, they were cold. It felt coordinated. It felt like I had been collectively excommunicated and I had no idea what crime I had committed. The restaurant bled money. I opened the doors every night, serving the occasional curious couple or lone diner. The emptiness of the dining room was a constant, mocking reminder of the grand opening disaster. Sarah remained by my side, her support a constant, cloying presence. "Don't listen to them, Alex," she'd say when I spoke of my family's abandonment. "They're just jealous of your success." But what success? I was a failure. The cracks started to show. A new, expensive-looking bracelet on her wrist she claimed was a gift to herself. Late nights at the office that became more frequent. The scent of a men's cologne on her coat that wasn't mine. I tried to ignore it, telling myself the stress was making me paranoid. I was losing my dream. I couldn't bear the thought of losing my wife, too. The truth came crashing down on a Tuesday morning, about a month after the failed opening. Sarah was in the shower, and her secondary phone, a cheap burner she kept for work emergencies, buzzed on the nightstand. She usually kept it hidden, but this time she'd forgotten. A message lit up the screen. It was from Mark. "He's still moping about the restaurant. It's getting pathetic. Can't wait for our trip this weekend. You were brilliant, by the way. A citywide gas leak? Genius!" My world tilted on its axis. The air left my lungs in a painful rush. A gas leak. That was the excuse. With trembling hands, I unlocked the phone. There was no password. I scrolled through months of messages between my wife and my best friend. There were pictures of them together in hotel rooms, declarations of love. But the worst part was the thread from the week of my opening. "Sarah, he's so excited. He's like a little kid. It almost makes me feel bad." "Mark, don't. He's been ignoring you for that stupid restaurant for years. He deserves this. You deserve to be with someone who puts you first. Are you sure your plan will work?" "Sarah, trust me. I'll call everyone tomorrow. A citywide alert about a gas leak on his block. I'll tell them the opening is postponed indefinitely for safety. They'll never question it. By the time he figures it out, the damage will be done." I scrolled further, my vision blurring with tears. She had systematically called every single person I loved, my own mother, and fed them a lie, a carefully crafted story designed to isolate me, to crush me. She had orchestrated my humiliation. Mark, my friend since childhood, the man who stood beside me at my wedding, had not only stolen my wife, but had conspired to destroy my life's ambition. When Sarah came out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, humming a cheerful tune, I was sitting on the bed, her phone in my hand. The color drained from her face. The charade was over. The confrontation was ugly, a torrent of lies, twisted justifications, and finally, a cold, remorseless confession. She said she was tired of being a restaurant widow. Mark offered her the attention she craved. They wanted me to fail, to be so broken that I would sell the restaurant for pennies on the dollar, and she could take her half in the divorce and start a new life with him. That night, I kicked her out. The next day, I filed for divorce. For weeks, the hearth remained empty. I sat alone at the bar, drinking away the meager profits, surrounded by the ghosts of what should have been. The betrayal was a cancer, eating away at my passion. I was ready to give up, to sell the place and let my dream die. Then, one evening, an elderly woman came in. She was my only customer. She ordered the beef bourguignon, my grandfather's recipe. After she finished, she called me over. "Young man," she said, her eyes kind, "that was the best meal I've had since my husband passed away. It tasted like love." Her words were a lifeline. They reminded me why I started this in the first place. Not for family, not for friends, not for glory, but for the love of the craft, for the magic of creating something that could touch a stranger's soul. That night, I didn't go home and drink. I went into the kitchen and I cooked. I experimented. I created. I poured all my pain, my anger, and my heartbreak onto the plate. I wrote a new story with every dish. 2 months later, armed with a small loan and a heart full of defiant hope, I planned a reopening. I didn't invite a single person I knew. Instead, I posted my story on a local food bloggers page. I didn't name names, I just told the truth. I built my dream restaurant, but on opening night, no one came. I'm giving my dream one last chance. Please, come share a meal with me. The post went viral. The story of the lonely chef and his empty restaurant resonated with people. On the night of the reopening, I stood in the same spot, my heart pounding, but this time it was with terror and hope. At 7 p.m., the first couple walked in. Then another and another. Within an hour, every single seat was filled. The room was electric, buzzing with the chatter and laughter of strangers. Strangers who had come to support a dream they'd only read about online. I spent the night running between the kitchen and the dining room, shaking hands, taking orders, and sharing stories. My face hurt from smiling. Towards the end of the night, I looked through the kitchen pass and saw my parents and my sister standing awkwardly at the door, looking at the packed room with expressions of shock and regret. I had my manager politely inform them that we were fully booked. As the last customer left, my staff, a small, loyal crew who had stuck with me through the emptiness, broke into applause. I leaned against the counter, exhausted and overwhelmed, tears of gratitude streaming down my face. The hearth wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It was a testament to resilience. It was proof that sometimes the people you expect to show up for you won't. But a room full of strangers can feel more like family than your own blood. My dream hadn't died. It had just been waiting for the right people to share it with.